I was like trying to remember what it was called, and I was like, and for the lady a bean, perhaps is what like I thought. That's what I like. I googled, and for the lady a bean, perhaps.
Hello, and welcome to GirlsGaysAnimes, where it is safe to love what you love and love who you love. I'm your host, Valzaraptor, and we are here with our reoccurring host, BitkingDT.
Hello, how are you?
Our resident straight guy for Straight Guy Tries. Today on Straight Guy Tries, we are talking about The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter. This is where you hype up The Other Worlds.
Yeah. I also forgot that like that's a government name because you like office worker isekai is what I've been calling it, and then like unironically that's what I've been calling it, and then when I pull it up in like Crunchyroll, that's what it's called. I'm like, I fully did that by accident.
Oh, I thought you were doing it because you're like, oh, that's the Crunchyroll name.
No, I've like honestly just been calling it like, oh yeah, office worker isekai, because like I'm blessed to be surrounded by people that if I say isekai, they're like, oof. Which when you suggested this isekai, I was like, oof. But I didn't look anything up. I'm like, okay, yeah. It's probably I can't say no.
I love it when you don't look stuff up. So yeah, the Crunchyroll streaming title is Isekai Office Worker: The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter, which is a longer title than its localized manga name, which is just The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter. And so I think they were worried about what people would think that it was about without the precursor of saying Isekai Office Worker.
Right.
Because I can't think of any other reason they would do that.
I mean, when you first suggested it to me, and I think it was like 2 or 3 days before I was like really connected. I'm like, okay, I have to do this. And then I was like trying to remember what it was called. And I was like, and for the lady a bean, perhaps is what like I thought. That's what I like. I just started I Googled, and for the lady a bean, perhaps.
Okay, I know you said you wanted to write like comics and stuff. Can this be one that we work on, like a
sure.
GL series called "For the Lady Perhaps a Bean"?
Let's do it. All right, I'm writing that down.
Write that down.
I want fan out on my desk by Monday.
Okay, so for those who haven't heard of The Other World's Books Depend on the Bean Counter, I know it's kind of, first of all, it's a mouthful, but if it wasn't enough to be told Isekai Office Worker, BitKing, do you want to give a high-level overview of like what the premise, the synopsis, what this is about?
So it goes into the Isekai story you all know, which is someone comes in from another world and saves the world, but then you get it from a different perspective. I really am one of those like basic millennials that loves the story from another person's perspective. So I started with Lion King 1.5, which is just the Lion King from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. That's what this isekai is. Because I groaned when you said it was an isekai. I'm like, okay, fine. But then like literally the first episode is this teenage 16-year-old girl gets basically kidnapped to another world to like, and they're like, please save us. But then this other guy tries to like save her, a 30-year-old office worker, salaryman, and it's just like, and I am here too. And then he ends up stuck. He's like, well, I'm not the chosen one. May as well do something. I'm just gonna bureaucrat my way in this country, in this other world.
And you know what? As much as I love this series, it's not even my favorite isekai bureaucratic like anime that's come out in the last year and a half.
There's more of these? I feel
like that's crazy. So my favorite from, I don't know if it was last summer or which season it came out. It was like this, about this dad who got isekai'd into his daughter's otome game as the villainess. Let me look up the name because I want folks to know.
Dear reader, while she looks this up, I need you to know I don't like isekais. Like
I don't. It's not usually my thing, but it's called From Bureaucrat to Villainess. And it's so good. My husband even watched it and he was like mad again that like nobody was talking about it because the ending was about the series itself was hilarious because you've got this like dad trapped in this teenage girl's body, like trying to get through this otome game, but he's like a super otaku also. And so he's like trying to handle it from like the game perspective, but then he also like is a dad at his core. And so he's like, oh, I know I'm the villainess. And so he's like trying to like be the villainess, but he's too much of a dad. It's cute. It's not gay, but it's funny. So
That's the same could be said about me. I'm not gay, but I'm funny.
And that's why you're here. That's why you're a resident straight guy. Okay, so yeah, this bureaucratic dude gets isekai'd into another world on accident by trying to save this teenage girl, which, by the way, he gets flack for later because they're like, pervert. That's you're a pervert. That's why you were like so close to her when we kidnapped her. And he was like,
the way you said pervert reminded me like from Bob's Burgers, like here, say here, $6.49 pervert, $6.49 pervert,
pervert. Here's your burger, pervert. Yeah, perfect. That's what
here's your low magicule food, pervert.
Yeah, okay, so on the magical, sorry. So now, like, yes, the savior girl's been abducted into this realm with this worker drone who's so obsessed with accounting that even though he's been offered the opportunity to never work a day in his life because they feel bad for abducting him also, he's like, nah, fam, you got an accountant department? That's my thing. And they're like, yeah, sure, here you go.
It was funny because I was like, what? This guy's fucking stupid. Like this, I would take that, but then literally like that happened. Like on that same day, I was watching the first few episodes with my partner, and I was like, all right, I need to get up. I have to clean. I have to do laundry. I have so many tasks to do. And she was like,
being so lazy.
Yeah, she was like, it's Friday. Like you can do this Saturday or Sunday. I was like, no, I need to go. And so I was like, damn it. It was a little like at first I was like, this guy's dumb, but then I was like, I guess it's relatable. And then I think at some point he says it like, yeah, it keeps my mind off of being kidnapped and brought into another world and the fact that I'm never going to see my parents again. It's like, fuck. And the fact that it's numbers is what makes it relatable.
Oh, 100%. Because like as I'm watching this, especially watching, it was either the OVA or the last episode of the season, where I was like, man, there's a lot of like neurodivergence, like, because this dude's clearly math autistic. But then like, because you're in this world where other magic is used, you've also got like the magic autism. And I mean, at least this guy, he can handle like personal interactions. He knows the right things to say in personal situations, which as an autistic that also knows the right things to say in situations, I admire. But then there are some of them who are like, yeah, I need money now to do stuff. And then he gets like scolded for being like, hey, you have to like interact with people first. And he's like, oh, hello, very nice to meet you. I am so-and-so. Can you please give me money for my science?
Please give us money. I didn't know what to expect. And it's very funny because like the way he goes, I did not read him as any kind of neurodivergent, or if he is, it's the kind that's like, yes, I didn't misunderstand your social cue. I just saw it and thought it was stupid. Like, it's just so funny. The way, like, work-wise, East, that's how I see him. Like, it's not that he's neurodivergent, it's that he doesn't care. He might be, but it's like, no attempt at all to, like, mask or adapt.
Yeah, but a lot of times what that is like more aggressive neurodivergence.
Maybe.
Okay, so he's got a lot of coworkers and stuff. Also, the hierarchy system, I've read the manga and I watched the anime. The hierarchy of like who's important and what the different relationships are, it like wasn't important, I guess. So I didn't try to understand it. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, okay, cool, you're important. The anime did a pretty good job of saying, like, oh, this guy is this guy, so... Yeah. I was just like, all right.
Okay. But the point is that you came onto this podcast to talk about gay stuff, and so far we have not gotten to the gay stuff. So this dude's been captured against his will, and he's in this other world to get to the gay stuff.
I think what's called... He starts abusing... magical tonics.
He starts pounding Red Bulls.
Yeah. There's like magical Celsius that comes in like weird thing. And he's like, oh, this is great. I think it just like took away his fatigue. I mean, either way, like he was just working nonstop, number crunching away his emotions, and then he overdoses on magic, which is so funny. He overdoses on magic, and then Colonel Roy Mustang comes along and
Aresh Indrak. We haven't gone over the actual character name. So the main character is Seiichiro Kondou.
Kondou, yeah.
And no one knows how to say his name there.
Which was weird. It was also especially weird because like at some point I had to switch the sub, and in the sub they're like, I don't know how to say your name, so I'm going to say your name this way, and then they say it right.
Same. And then Endolark. And Endolark is a knight. He's the commander of the king's third royal order. And that's what I mean. I don't know who's the first royal order or whatever, but he's in charge of the third.
Mm-hmm. I think
Aresh.
From what I know about like knights, it's just like it's not like any special, like it just happens to be the third. It's just the number.
Oh, so like it'd be like if they were like A, B, and C, like they're just
literally
C one. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But like without the ranking, it's not like you can graduate from 3 to 2. It's just you're just in 2. Zip codes is more like it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Kondou, he pounds a bunch of 5-hour energies and overdoses on them and has a heart attack in the streets. Essentially, right?
Yeah. And then Colonel Roy Mustang comes along and says, I'm gonna we're gonna do a juice cleanse. But the juice is me. I'm the juice. I'm gonna give you an enema of me to like adjust you to my magic.
He literally was like, you're sick with magic. I have to heal you, but then because I'm healing you with magic, the only way for that to not kill you is if I get you accustomed to my magic.
Acclimate,
And the only way that I can acclimate you to my magic is if we're touching. And like you're so sick from magic that I have to touch you as much as possible, which may or may not include being inside you to maximize surface touching.
Yeah, magic maxing, acclimating maxing. Literally, okay, so like the anime is like a fade to black, and because like they're kissing, and like literally I have on my notes like magic as a metaphor for BDSM ? And then like he's like, do you want me to administer you magic? He's like, tell me yes. And then he's
we
like,
love consent. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And he's just like, I say yes. And then, but then I can't remember if he said, but he's like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with this. And and so then he does the deed. And then literally I texted you the photo of like him, like with making coffee with his shirt off or like with his like military thing. I'm like, this is literally Colonel Roy Mustang. Like this is someone's fan fiction of Roy Mustang and Matt Hughes. And literally I was like, did they do it? And then he said donut cushion. I'm like, donut cushion? I was like, oh
yeah, he needs his donut cushion.
He took his shirt off before he started.
Okay, hold on. I have to talk about this. I posted when I first watched this, like when it was originally airing. I got to that episode, and it's like episode 1. He's standing there with the shirt open. He's got like 12 abs, like as though they were like udders. And I was like, this feels excessive. I've watched a lot of anime where there are beefy men, both gay and straight, and none have like so anatomically messed up how an abdomen should look before.
Right, like do I need to do magic to get those abs? Like literally that's the only way I can think of. Like
yes. And it wasn't even like, oh, I'm counting the cum gutters. Like it was like full on like abs. And I was like, that's too many. It's at least two too many, if not more.
He took his shirt off to like mount him, and it's like he haven't even said yes yet.
Okay, so in the manga it says, you were on the verge of death from overdosing on medicine, so I used my own magic to bring you back. I'm skipping some text. However, all I've done at this point is give you emergency treatment. Before I move on to the next step, I want to be sure you understand the situation. So, can you hear me? Magic sickness is treated by familiarizing the sick person to the energy of the one whose magic they received. Your body is full of energy it can't process, which is why you have a fever. At this rate, it'll destroy your vital organs, and you'll die.
I need those.
And he's like, familiarize myself with magic. I don't want to die. And then Roy Mustang goes, will you agree to the treatment? And he goes, please treat me. And then he starts undressing.
Will you let me magically rearrange your guts?
Kondou goes, please treat me. Roy Mustang starts to undress, and he goes, move your hands, because they were blocking his chest. And then he starts undressing him, and he goes, open your mouth. That's like the next thing he says to him is open your mouth.
So that is the thing I noticed, that in the dub, they don't really say, like, he just like kisses him out of nowhere. But then like when I switch to the sub, he is like, open your mouth. I guess going to the gate thing is just like, I think the last time we were talking about this was like Summer Hikaru died, and how like you have to be on some hard copium to say that that's not gay, but like you technically can say like that is a choice, that is something you can say. The evidence is against you, but you can say it. This one you can't.
No.
At least in the dub you can't. There was something weird about like, and I don't know if it's like a culture thing, because even Kondo acknowledges that like, oh yeah, like Japan is not really about like the public romance stuff. I don't know what, but it did change something when it was like open your mouth and then let me kiss you, versus let's like I'm gonna kiss you like non-verbally.
Yeah.
I don't know what, maybe it's a culture thing, but like, yeah,
it hit different.
It was different.
After he goes open your mouth, he follows it up with, this is emergency treatment. Like I said, that alone won't be enough, so I won't stop until it's done. And then we get into his head, and he goes, okay, I get it. I'm pretty sure I know what he's gonna do. But then, okay, so this I think wasn't fully captured in the anime. And I know you switched from dub to sub, and I had originally watched this sub, and when I did my rewatch, I watched what was available in dub. And I personally thought that the sub version, it was hard to feel like they were actually growing closer versus Roy Mustang just becoming more and more obsessed with Kondo. Where in the dub it felt less like that, but both were way less than how it actually reads in the manga. Because at the next point, like in here, he says, I was already burning up because of my fever, but everywhere he touches, I feel the heat spread even further inside me. And so like he's into it, but like you can't tell like how into it he is really. I didn't feel like that came across well in the anime.
Yeah, in both the sub and dub like performances, it was, I mean, even all through all 12 episodes, I never really got the sense that like the relationship was progressing, like in terms of like romantic love.
Yeah, right.
And I was watching it with my partner, and she said like, oh, this is kind of like a 50 Shades of Grey situation where like he's like controlling, like, all right, we're gonna go eat, like you don't talk to other people, you eat when I tell you to eat, like you come live with me. I'm like, yeah, kind of. And I will say that like I've only seen the third one, the third 50 Shades of Grey, but like it like I remember the movie just being bad because it would do the thing of like, we have this problem, we're introducing this problem, oh just kidding, it's solved immediately. And I also didn't know what to expect, and it felt like the first 6 episodes were a completely different show than the last 6 episodes. And I was just, because like literally the last 2 episodes were like, I found this like telescope, and
that's because that was an OVA, that wasn't an episode.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, because I was like,
okay, let me go over, because we didn't touch on this yet, but just for folks who maybe watch the anime and don't understand the source material. So there's currently in Japan 4 light novels, and the 4th light novel came out this past April, and we don't have a North American release date yet. For manga, they have released in English up to volume 6. I've read through 5. I haven't read 6 yet. It's in my TBR pile. But 7 has already released in Japan, and it hasn't been translated yet.
Okay.
And it's hard because, like, it takes them, like, a year to translate. And the 7th volume of this came out, like, late October of 2025. So we're probably not going to have it for another couple months. The original light novel started coming out in Japan in 2019. And the manga originally started releasing in Japan in 2020, like a year and a half later.
That tracks.
So then now we've got the anime. The anime was announced November of 2024, and it's got 12 episodes plus an OVA. So if you watched 13 episodes and you felt like the last episode was weird and out of place, and you felt like the 12th one wrapped up the season well, it's because it did.
That's literally how I felt. Okay. Like I said, I don't look into this. I just, you say, watch this. I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I agree. I felt like the 12th episode wrapped up the season. The 13th episode felt kind of out of place. It didn't progress the story much.
Which, like, it didn't need to. I actually don't know if this is like a isekai pattern, or if this is like specific to this story, or if it's like a pattern of what, like, I don't know. But like the first 6 episodes felt like a completely different thing than the last 6.
I'll say the pacing of the series.
That's the word I was trying to figure out.
I got you. The pacing is It feels slow in the beginning, and then it picks up. But in the anime's defense, that's how the manga is too.
I felt the opposite. I felt that it was good. I felt that it was like we're pacing well, like in the first 6 episodes, and then like the last 6 episodes, I had to like switch to the dub or the sub because I was so bored. Like basically, once I guess we have to acknowledge the isekai in Isekai Office Worker, but the girl who gets isekai, they intended to isekai, has to like purify a tree. And then he's like, hey, what if you just did this instead of kidnapping a 16-year-old girl every 100 years? And they're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's great. That would be way cheaper, too. Let's just do that. And then it's solved. And it's like, oh, sweet. Wait, this is episode 6. What the fuck? We have 7 more episodes from my perspective. And those first 6 I thought were great. And then like the last 6, I was like,
okay, so from like a story standpoint, I guess I could see that. In the manga, I think it does a better job balancing the relationships and the storyline. And so I think from that standpoint, like that's why the pacing felt different. And that's why I think I thought the beginning was slow. And I think when I looked it up earlier, the anime covers the first 2 light novels.
Okay.
Yes, because it covered the light novels. Like I said, I'd read through volume 5 of the manga. The anime went farther than what I had read in the manga.
Wait, so you read like volume 5 and you're up to date on the manga and the anime went farther?
I have 1 volume sitting in my TBR.
Okay.
But volume 5 is the one where he's tricking the prince guy into donating his money to the church, which there's like several episodes left after that, right?
A few, yeah.
That's what I mean. And like, this is the 5th one, and I have 1 on my TBR. So I think even if and when this started to air, if I'm not mistaken, this started to air January to March, and volume 6 came out after it started airing.
Interesting.
In English. So it's I felt like it was a similar thing when I was reading My Happy Marriage, because My Happy Marriage is a light novel and it was getting put into manga form, and I was reading the manga, but then they released an anime, and so the anime got ahead of the manga because the manga was coming out slower based off of the light novel than the anime was.
The plight of all anime.
At least they're not like making up, like at least they actually have source material that they're actually following.
Yeah. I know. It's like tale as old as time, like 30 years later.
Yeah. So I guess from a romance standpoint, I think it was more the fact that, like the butler was saying, that this 22-year-old knight dude has never cared about anyone before. And so this is like the first time in his life that he's ever like had a crush on someone, and he simply doesn't know how to behave because he's been raised by his staff and like doesn't really have parents, and he like, I imagine, isn't seeing what romantic relationships, like healthy relationships, look like. And all he knows is that he likes this guy, and he doesn't want nobody else to like or look at or talk to this man. And it's kind of, it's like that like obsessive yearning bit, except it's almost like a forced proximity trope, but to the extreme, because he's like, oh, if we don't bone, you're going to die.
It was a little bit like Beauty and the Beast, where there's like no social skills. He's just like, well, would Kondou like him if he could go back home? I know that's going to be hopefully a plot point. I'm probably going to read it, not watch it. But like, yeah, if you can go back, would you? In the terms of like no social skills, was raised by his staff, very possessive, forced proximity. I mean, yeah, it's the thing of like showing love in the way he knows, like, all right, I'm a knight. I've been raised to only be a knight and do magic. You know, he's doing the magic penis. So he's got the physical part down, and so he's struggling with the emotional. The first 6 episodes, from the romance perspective, I thought was interesting because they were establishing the dynamic. And I guess one of the ways, like, since I've known you and like since I've been having to watch all these things, I think one of the interesting things about like how BL is not always about the exploration of whether or not you're gay, it's the exploration of gender dynamics. And so Kondou having to be this guy, this like corporate drone that is always having to take care of things and always being in control, having to relinquish that control and be submissive to someone who is trying to help him, learning to let someone help him. And Roy Aresh Mustang, I guess, learning aftercare, because like he's got the magic part down. So like he's just like, okay, being a knight, being valued for his physical prowess, now has to learn to do the emotional part. of it all. But then I don't know, it just like after like episode 6, they're like, all right, yeah, you guys like each other, cool, you're like together, and then that's it. Like it's just kind of like a little slow relationship progressive wise from then on out.
And I'll say, again, it's one of those things where in the manga, the accountant, he consistently has thoughts about how, like, he is feeling a certain way about this guy, but that's not what's important right now. Plus, he's eventually going to go back home. He doesn't want to lead this guy on. And so he continues to kind of be, like, blasé about, like, acknowledging the fact that this dude has feelings for him. Like, he knows he does. He's acknowledging that he's starting to reciprocate, but that he basically can't. And so Aresh... Mustang, he is more flirty, than possessive, I guess. I mean, he is still possessive in the manga, but it's more flirty, and he's like, oh, I'm going to take every chance I can to touch you, and they'll, like, look at each other and blush. And, like, I just feel like there wasn't as much of that in the anime, but you do what you gotta do.
Yeah, there were some lines that, I don't know if it's choices with the dub or the actors, where it's like, was that meant to be flirty? Or, like, was he trying to flirt and it just didn't land well because of the performance, or it didn't land well because of the character? And
I think some of it was performance, but it also could have been, like, direction, too.
Yeah.
From the producers and stuff.
I
wonder who produced the English translation, like the dub, because I thought that they did a really good job. But I think it also helps that the voice actor for Kondou, the accountant, I believe he's gay, and he series, or maybe this is his first BL series, but he's been really excited to be able to portray a gay man in voice acting now. And so he's been really excited about it. I've seen it on his socials. And so I think that also comes through in the voice acting.
Yeah, it was very fitting. And even when there were times when I was like certain lines, I was like, what did they actually say? And so I would switch to this up and oh no, they said basically the same thing. So I don't think any subtext was lost with certain word choices in the translation, or if it was, I saw it in the faces. The message got across, especially once, I think it was episode 9 was only in dub or sub.
I think that's what I struggle with is when I'm listening to the Japanese version, I'm reading the subtitles, I can't focus on their facial features as much. And so I feel like I maybe miss some of the subtleties. Also, I'm autistic. And so I don't know if it's what the cause is, but that's another reason why I guess maybe I prefer English when it comes to these sorts of things too. Plus, I like it when they add slang sometimes. If you watched Polar Opposites this past season, the English cast did absolutely phenomenal, pulling in basically how teenagers would act and behave in the US into the way that they speak. At one point during the dub of You and I Are Polar Opposites, a guy just goes, I think he says, I'm such a chud. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's good. I like that sort of thing. With this series, though, he bones to heal him. And so, all of this story is progressing around them. And then there's this periodic issue where he gets overexposed to magic, or he's got to go into the magic forest. He almost gets shot with a magic ball thing. And he's like, oh, no, I have to heal you. And then all these other people are like, oh, he's allergic to magic. I'll just heal him. And then the guard dog comes in and he's like, don't touch my man. And takes him away to secret bone him in the nurse's office.
When the preacher man texts him, and it's really funny to me that he was like, oh, I know what to do. The redheaded East boy, he's like, he's overexposed to magic, I know what to do, and he kisses him. It was like, what the is this just a common thing in this world? Is this how you he's like, hang on, I have to kiss you.
Yeah. It was the magic, the guy that
magic.
The magic guy. The guy who is give me money for magic.
The sorcerer, yeah.
Yeah, the sorcerer guy. He's like, I've seen this before. Smooch. And he's like, it didn't work. That was weird.
and then Preacher Man was just like, okay, I know what to do. And he was carrying him and about to take him away. He was like, wait.
He's like, I mean, if I have to.
Oh, and, no.
Okay, on that, there was also the other guy who was like, oh, if it weren't for this guard dog you have, I would have locked you down a long time ago or something.
Oh, the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister. And he does it multiple times. Multiple times he's like, too bad you're his property. Otherwise, I'd make you my property.
It's like, all right, yeah, that's a government worker. You're like, I want this.
On that note, also, one of my other friends who was really into the manga, who was excited about the anime, who was disappointed about the anime, they had a friend, a straight friend, watch it with them. And he basically had said that this was like an HR nightmare because it's so much inappropriate sexual misconduct in the office. And I'm trying to think of the phrasing that he used for it.
Like, yeah, can you imagine having to be like, all right, put in an expense report for a donut pillow? So it's
Oh my gosh. It's like something isekai sexual harassment at the office, the BL.
All right, we'll write that down. I want fan art on my desk on Monday of expense reports and HR violations. I guess one of the things I was thinking about as I was watching this is that when we started this series, you had me watch like 4 different ones, and I was blown away.
I gave you a bunch of gold right out the gate.
Well, I mean, it was Cherry Magic and a bunch of other ones that were like, yeah, this is fine. But
do you like Skate?
I did like Skate, but I liked Skate as like an Infinity, like as Skate the Infinity as like an anime. Like I would love it even if it wasn't a BL kind of thing, you know. But like Cherry Magic changed my mind.
Did you ever go back and watch the anime?
No, absolutely not.
Did. You absolute bitch.
Val invited me onto this podcast and said, well, yeah, watch Cherry Magic. And I thought it'd be very funny. I went on Crunchyroll, and there was the live action and then an anime. I was like,
I don't even think the live action is on Crunchyroll. I think you're a liar.
That's how I saw it.
No.
That's how I saw it. I would not have paid for this joke. The second I would have had to pay money, like the second this joke would have cost me money, I would be like, nah, never mind. But the live action was on Crunchyroll, and I was like, oh, it'd be funny if I just watched this. And it changed my mind. I had like the Danny DeVito one. I was like, oh, I get it now. I understand why people love not just romance but BL. And because like I guess it was rooted in like the real world of like, oh, you have to like actually deal with the consequences of like exploring this. And while like sure the first 6 episodes explored like the dynamics, like the relationship dynamics, I did think it was missing a little bit of teeth. That like it seems that like being gay is fine in this like magical isekai world.
Yeah.
I will say like the commander, like the one that does all this paperwork, when he asked him like, oh, you like someone, what's her name, he like just assumed girl. And I think that was like I thought they were going to go somewhere with that. So I thought they're going to be like, oh, the fact that he assumes it's a girl means that like, oh, we're going to go explore what does it mean when like the commander of the Third Royal Army is gay. But then like so far it hasn't done anything. I was just like, oh, that's a little disappointing.
I'm wondering again, because I haven't gotten beyond what we've seen in the anime, because I'm wondering if like Roy Mustang's parents are homophobic, because it seems like maybe the next thing they're going to do is go meet his parents. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to be one of those like, oh, we love him, he's so perfect and autistic and great at math, or if they're going to be like, wait, you're gay? So there could be an opportunity.
I wonder if that's why he lives alone. Like, that's why they're like, oh, you're a little weird, we're going to send you away and send you to the seaside. I will say, it also is funny that, like, they talk about, like, the age thing. Like, going back, Kondou's 30, and then he's like, I would never be with someone 8 years my junior, or someone younger than me. Like, when they accuse him of stalking the... Yeah. They accuse him of stalking the pure maiden. Royal maiden. And then he's like, no, bro, she's, like, 16. What the fuck's wrong with you? And then like, and then Aresh Mustang is just catching a stray. He's like, oh,
he's 22 compared to
30.
30. And then okay. Meanwhile, and this honestly just kind of like magically went away also. And I'm like, and another thing, I almost said the Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden's crush on Roy Mustang. It seems like it's super problematic very early on, and then she like continues to still kind of have a crush on them, and then it eventually goes away completely.
Not really. It does come back when Prince Yuri on Ice is like he's the one that's like, oh yeah, donate your own personal money to the school. When he goes, and then Aresh shows up at the church, they're like, hey, wait, why are you trying to cockblock me? So
why'd you bring Loverboy?
Yeah, exactly. So like, there's this weird, not even triangle, it's just like a square. Yeah, literally, because like Aresh likes Kondou kind of sort of likes him, and then Iron Maiden likes Mustang, and then Prince Yuri on Ice likes the maiden, and then
everyone else also likes Kondou.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's true. Wait.
Like literally everyone else except for Yuri on Ice.
It's all I will say I do appreciate
Is this turning into like a harem situation? No,
Kat,
no.
I mean, hey, who knows?
If Kondo didn't openly finally reciprocate the kiss at the end of the 12th episode, spoilers, then I'd be like, maybe it will be a little harem-y, but it's clear in the manga that he's super into Endolark, but he doesn't want to be for his reasons.
Does the manga, or do you know if like the light novel will or does like go into the other relationships? Because like as the show kind of progressed, the relationship between like Prince Yuri on Ice and the Golden Retriever, I was like, wait, that seems interesting. I'm kind of interested in that. Can we do that instead of this like church thing? I don't really care about the children learning to read.
I don't know. I thought the church bit was interesting because they had a whole moment where they were like, it's okay if you believe in what you believe in. And I was like, wow, there's so much messaging in this BL. Like, what a good, wholesome, need sex to survive anime. But no, from what I gathered, there's not a ton on the relationship. Again, up through volume 5 of the manga, there's not a ton of conversation about, beyond what was shown in the anime, the other relationships between the folks. One thing I'll say, I didn't notice it when I was reading the manga as much, but it's there, is the fucking bags under this dude's eyes. This is one of those things where it's like, it does not matter how long he's been in this world, no matter how much magic he gets boned into, he still has bags under his eyes.
I was gonna say, like, normally I do have them too. I guess the camera's doing a good job, but like, yeah, I that made him the most relatable to me.
I hated it. He's 30.
Yeah, bro, I'm fucking tired.
I don't know how old the prime minister was, but he looked older than the prime minister. You can see on the front of the manga, like, a little bit. They gave him, like, a little tiny bit
of like, gray hair?
That wasn't what I was going for. I meant, like, bags under his eyes. The point is that, like, by the end of the season 1 or whatever they end up doing for this anime, everyone's obsessed with him. Even, like, everyone who, like, hated him even is obsessed with him.
So one of the funny things is that, like, one of the reasons I don't like isekais is because it kind of, like, the colonization aspect of, like, oh, I'm coming into your world and I'm gonna like turn your shit around. It can be a little bit like a lot of intersection with like the white savior of like, oh, I'm gonna come along and do your job better than you do. But I still don't know how I feel about it. But like I didn't get icked out with this one.
I think it's because it's like you got there and you're like, oh, there's corruption and he's just so obsessed with numbers he accidentally found corruption. He genuinely just wanted to be an accountant drone. In fact, when they offered him the promotion, he was like, okay, sure, if it means that I get like more permission to look at more numbers, I guess, but I really don't want to be like a manager guy.
Yeah, and even then, like, I think it's because it like reminds me of so much of like actual office work where just, hey, like some older people are like, yeah, this is the way we've always done it. You just say yes and I get what I want.
You bring up a good point, okay? Because the fact that he rolls into a situation where they're like, this is how it's always been done. And he's like, question that. When it comes to what my understanding of the hierarchical work and stuff in Japan, the fact that he was so easily open to questioning the way that they did things to even higher ups there, it's kind of suspicious, right? Like kind of out of character maybe for him.
So I did think that, but then I was gonna say, like, I've never been to Japan. I don't know. It's so funny that like in this world it's like, oh yeah, I can be gay. I don't need to question the social impacts of being gay, but like I don't need to question the social hierarchy. Like, oh, it's just different here. I can just question people here. I can do my job efficiently. But then also maybe, going back to what you were saying, maybe that is his neurodivergency because like he was working on a Saturday. So maybe that wasn't a hard worker thing. That was his punishment was working on a Saturday. We don't really get to see a glimpse of how he was or how his work was in his old life.
We don't see how his work was. We did get a flash of like him being like, oh, that time I had the flu and I was like dying at home. This is the worst I felt since then. And I think it's kind of like to what we talked about earlier where it's like because he wasn't like near family, because he doesn't ask for help, He just kind of dealt with it on his own, and he suffered through having the flu at home.
Yeah. But, like, I'm glad you bring up the parents, because one of the problems I have with most isekais, they just forget about their home. Like, they don't think about the fact that, oh, yeah, my mom's home. But at some point, he does. And then not only is it brought in and addressed, it's actually a source of conflict. Though. Yeah, eventually he has to go home. And then when he goes home, he'll have to decide between a Rush Mustang and
does he want to have to be boned back to life for the rest of his life? Or does he want to go back home and work? I mean, I guess he's working here, but like work to survive for the rest of his life. Where I feel like he's more comfortable here. What is he doing with all of his money, by the way? He's making money while he's working, but he's living rent-free in Roy Mustang's house?
Even before Mustang's house, they gave him a house.
After he got like banned from buying tonics, what the fuck's he spending his money on?
I'm glad you said, because the other thing is I was going to think stationery, but no, they literally make a point to say that he buys infinite refilling ink. So he's like,
in infinite ink.
Like he literally said it's going to be expensive. He's like, yeah, but I only have to buy it once. Because, like, there's no 401k, so...
Also, there's no way he spent his personal money on the abacus. He would have used that as, like, an office expense. Because he got it for, like, everyone at the office.
That one I actually believe he probably would have spent his own money.
I expect he spent his own money on the first one, but then when he stocked the office with him, I expect he would have used their finances.
That was a Sigma. That's the kid's name. That's such a weird name. It's like, why is this child named after a computer virus?
It's not on this article that I'm looking at, because I'm like, I keep referencing names and stuff off to the side because I'm so bad with names, and it doesn't have the child's name.
Yeah, his name is Sigma. It sticks out because, like, why? Like, he's named after the bad guy from Mega Man, but also, like...
Yeah, his name is Sigma. Also, I forgot that the prince, like the crown prince or whatever, that his name is literally Urius. I thought you were calling him Yuri on Us because he had white hair, like how Victor had before, like in Yuri on Ice. So it's like, it like doubly works.
Yeah, and he looked like him, and then when he goes to the church, when he was like, "Oh, I need to spy on the maidens." Yeah, call me Yuri. So, and then that's when I was like, "Oh yeah, Yuri on Ice. This is how I'm gonna remember it."
Yeah, that's good. That's like the closest to his actual name as any of our like make 'em up names have been for this entire episode.
I do like that there is a little a point in the show that, like, no one can pronounce Seiichiro, but we've just been calling him Kondou this whole time.
The name thing also was weird to me because I couldn't tell if they had the same formalities with names as Japan does, because everyone kept making a big deal about, like, what name to call people and what was formal and what wasn't. And then everyone wanted Seiichiro to call them with informalities. So that one... I didn't understand.
Yeah, can we talk about how Aresh was like, "Oh yeah, speak to me like you speak to that child"?
I didn't want to talk about that.
Is it the thing of like
he just meant because he responded to the child and like called him informally and like hugged him. He's like, "Wait, I want public affection and I want you to informally address me in public. That's not fair." But he made it weird and went like, "I want you to talk to me like a child."
Okay, so yeah, so it was that. To circle back, that aspect is interesting. Of like, here is a knight that at his big age of 22 has only ever been like valued for his physical prowess, his magical prowess, and now here comes Seiichiro, who doesn't care that he can swing a sword real good and doesn't really care that he knows how to do fire magic or whatever. I will say, I wish they had shown what he can do besides healing magic. All he really shows is healing magic. I don't really know what kind of other magic, what combat magic looks like in this world.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
I kind of wish, but yeah, here comes Seiichiro, who doesn't care about, I guess because we're looking at it from his perspective, we wouldn't really see that. And I guess that does kind of make it a point of like, yeah, it doesn't matter that you can summon fire from your hands. Like, all Seiichiro cares about is him as a person. So yeah, from a relationship
and
gender
then he has
dynamic
this complex too about like, because he is so good with the sword and stuff, he like goes on that really hard mission, and the staff at the home is like, "Now, Seiichiro, when he gets back, you got to be super proud of him because he worked really hard. He's doing it so that you'll tell him that you're super proud of him." And then he's like, "Oh, he is working hard. He wants me to praise him. And then that's kind of where I connected, like, oh, he like praised the boy for being smart. And he's like, you never praise me. You never tell me I'm good at anything. You, you don't hug me in public. I'm sad.
It does remind me of a lot of heterosexual things. It's like men wanting to be praised and useful for like moving big boxes or like being strong, but like don't find any pride in like taking out the trash or whatever. And I think that, yeah, like Mustang kind of fits that, like, at least Americans heterosexual thing of like, huh? Because we also don't really see if he never really cared about anyone, so he doesn't know that relationship dynamic.
At the same time, like, as far as I know that we talked about how he's like this controlling whatever guy, but he really does understand like how Seiichiro's mind works.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like not like he's gradually introducing verbally his feelings, like, and he knows he's being obvious about it, but he's like not saying to Seiichiro like, hey, you need to decide if you want to be with me or not. Like, he's letting him get there on his own. Mm-hmm. And it's also paired with the way that he convinces Seiichiro into things by bringing up the efficiency.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at volume 4 of the manga, and it was the first night of Seiichiro's church visits, and they were like pretty draining on him, and he, you know, put up a barrier, and he had to keep putting up a barrier so that he could survive at the church because all the magic, blah blah blah. And then Roy Mustang's like, are you gonna stand there all night or are you gonna take a bath? And then Seiichiro's like, you don't have to apply my barrier in the bath, can't we do it after dinner? And then Roy Mustang's like, it's more and then Seiichiro goes, don't say it's more efficient this way. And then they just like stand there awkwardly and stare at each other. And then Seiichiro eventually goes, fine, let's do it. What's interesting is they don't like get into the bath together. Like, Roy Mustang stays fully clothed and he goes, I'll just pour water over your body while I work. Mm-hmm. And so he literally like hand bathes this man, which is significantly more intimate than them just like sitting in the bath together afterwards. Mm-hmm. But like neither of them are fully nude. And he's like, okay, I applied the magic while I was touching your skin, so that's enough for you to acclimate. And he goes, you take a bath now and soak, and I'll tell the staff to prepare dinner. And then Seiichiro goes, but you'll catch a cold, you should warm up. And this is what I was talking about, where it's like, we don't really get that, like, I don't want to say edging, but it's like Seiichiro showing those like flecks of like, I do actually care. Ooh, I do kind of like have a crush on him. Ooh, I do actually like him as much in the anime. And it's like little stuff like that, like that's in the manga, that made me more frustrated with the anime.
One of the things that like, he is a commander, Aresh, and even though it's a magical world, and even though he's 22, like I think maybe I know too many people in like the actual like U.S. military. They're like, okay, at like 22, you'd probably be like a sergeant, and so like you do have to like command people. Like the way he commands them, just like kind of like military coded, where just like, all right, I have to convince people to do something they don't want to do.
See, I have a different interpretation of the U.S. military system, and the only feedback I've gotten is like, there's no trickery in the way that things get commanded in the military. It's simply hierarchical.
It is hierarchical, but like in terms of like the whole magic thing of like him being a good one, like a good leader. Well, not like trickery, but like knowing what to say to people. Because again, at the end of the day,
motivator.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is an anime. So like the whole thing of like an inspiring speech and then people will rally behind you. This is me being shown and pilled of like, okay, a story I know, but like from a different perspective is like swinging a sword and fire magic are not going to help you take the person you love and get them to eat food and to take care of themselves. So it is kind of like something that would be good in a different setting being like flipped on its head and being used in like slice of life mundane setting.
I disagree in this case because Endolark, if you recall, like when we first get introduced to him, everyone's afraid of him. Everyone's like the big scary dog. He's so strong. And so I don't think that he's this charismatic people motivator. I think he's literally has respect because he's strong and people listen to him when he says to do stuff, not because he knows how to motivate them and everything else. Like I genuinely think like all of this like motivation that he uses with Kondou is exclusively for Kondou.
I was gonna say like, oh, like it had to come from somewhere, but I guess not really.
It's coming from the fact that this is the first time he's ever liked another person in his whole life. I don't know. And it's because like I'm used to, you're like, oh, I'm shonen pilled, and I'm like the opposite, where it's like, oh, I'm used to having to spot those things where people get special behavior, and like that's part of why what's happening is romantic, because they only treat this person that special way. They don't treat anyone else that way. And so I'm used to like looking out for stuff like that.
That's a trope, isn't it? Like me to everyone except you. Like I don't know the actual name.
Yeah.
Like it's not Grumpy Sunshine, because I wouldn't really call Kondo Sunshine, but Grumpy. He's definitely the grumpy.
I was gonna say, what would you call the tropes in this one?
I mean, I don't know, because like I wouldn't really call Kondo like Sunshine. I don't know tropes enough, to be honest.
I'm so bad at tropes.
See, like I remember when
I think it was the one that I mentioned early on, which it's not the same, but it's like an offshoot of forced proximity.
Yeah, absolutely. Has to be forced proximity. You get isekai'd. I feel like isekai inherently is forced proximity.
I think it's also, what's the one where like one's really obsessed? You could just say obsessive. Because I would say that Indrak is borderline obsessive over Kondo. Like he was willing to push his own physical body to the brink at the expense of like healing Kondo faster, / not letting anyone else attempt to heal him. He was willing to sacrifice his own body so no one else had to smooch the guy that he likes.
Which apparently is just normal here. Everyone's always surprised that he brings his food from home. So I thought that was an interesting thing. You can relate a little bit being vegan. Like I did think of you during that. I forgot where I was going with this. I was gonna say something else, but
you were gonna say something super profound.
No, it does not sound like me.
Okay.
Wait, what were we talking about before we said food?
How obsessive
Indrak
is?
Yeah. Wait, is his name actually Indrak?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait, I know Japan does a thing where like they say the last names. Is Indrak his last name, or is Aresh his last name?
So Aresh, I think, is his last name.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. I'm looking at the Wikipedia and it's kind of weird. So it's listed out Seiichiro Kondou, and then the Japanese next to it is Kondo Seiichiro. And but then for Aresh Indrak, it just says Areshu Indraku, because he's not a Japanese person.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't swap it when they switched from English to the Japanese name because...
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, no, then they did the opposite with Yua. So, Yua's the Iron Maiden, and so they did the same thing with her name. So, yeah, they swapped hers, but everyone else, it's like whatever they go by, and is the correct one.
Oh, yeah, magic is a metaphor for BDSM, like light BDSM, like very surface level.
I haven't had you go back and watch any of the early 2000s terrible BLs. And this, I read an article that was like, it's very reminiscent of that, and that it's like toxic yaoi light because of the possessiveness. I mean, he is possessive, but he does make sure every time that he, to the best of his ability, gets consent.
I was gonna say I think that's what keeps it from being toxic, is just like. But then the power dynamic is a little bit, because it's like, all right, yeah, if I don't bottom you, then you're gonna die of magic. So, but actually, no. But like, I guess Preacher Man was ready to do it, so it doesn't have to be him.
To throw down.
Yeah, I guess anyone can bottom him, and then like he can.
I think he has to be sick from their magic first. So, like, if he's sick from someone else's magic, he has to then be maybe healed by someone else's magic, and then whoever heals him of that other magic then has to bone him, and then he gets healed again.
So, the way I kind of thought it is that, like, he has to, like, get acclimated to, like, all the magic and build up over time, and then I thought, like, oh, like a vaccine, that makes sense. And then I thought, like, oh, going back to the military thing, when all my friends tell me about this gun of shoots with all different kinds of vaccines, so... going back to the harem thing, maybe this whole thing ends with him in a gangbang of like trying to like.
Oh, don't say that! Don't, we can't end the episode on that. No.
All this different magic. We need to get him acclimated between the Preacher Man,
I I don't think it works like that. I
No.
don't know that he builds up immunities this way. I genuinely think he has to be progressive, like continually treated for the rest of his life. That's the vibe I caught.
That's how I thought, but like I swear I thought that they said that like, oh, he's getting better. Slowly, but better.
I don't know that
But-
it's at a rate that he would ever be able to like eat regular
Oh no,
food
not
there.
that, no, but yeah.
It's gonna be like he's gonna have to be boned for the rest of his life in order to survive.
Yeah, okay.
So it'll be very romantic if he decides to stay, because I'm sure they'll find a way to get home, because the 16-year-old clearly wants to go home, even though Yuri on Ice wants her to stay. Like, they're clearly going to do that. She's going to choose to go home, and then Seiichiro's going to be posed like, oh, do I go or do I not go? It's a Hallmark movie right there, like all of them. But, like, you know what I mean? Because Kondou knows that Indrak has no life. He's royalty adjacent here, where Kondou was a worker drone in order to survive in his like studio apartment back home. He can't support Indrak on his own. So realistically, the only way that they could afford to be together in one or the other world means that Seiichiro is going to have to choose to stay in this world where he will have to be boned in order to survive for the rest of his life.
This is another thing that annoyed me. Granted, it's only 12 episodes in an OVA, but he was just like, okay, we have to find the source of what causes. Yeah, there's like the corrupted tree that we have not talked about at all. He's like, oh, we have to find the source of that. I thought it was going to be a thing. I mean, granted, I'm out of school with isekais. The last one I really saw was like Sword Art. But I have the feeling the way they like hint at things about like, oh, where's all this magic going? The magic we're stealing from children. I have a feeling that they're going to pull some magic anime bullshit and he's going to be suddenly fine. I feel like also that's how it has to end for it to be a meaningful choice, for it to avoid that like power dynamic thing we were talking about, where like, because is it really love if you have to be with someone in order to not die, to survive? Again,
he could be with someone else, but he has to be with someone.
Or
it doesn't have to be Roy Mustang, but he does have to be with someone in order to survive.
He could be the town slut.
That doesn't seem like his speed. There's not enough accounting in that work.
Preacher Man would be happy with that.
Anyway, you had asked also about the series, the manga, if like the boning was in HD, and I don't remember how you phrased it, but because you said the anime is fade to black. There is no peen in this, so this series is rated teen, meaning that it is safe for teens to read. There's no peens. It does fade to black, so that means that it is likely available or can be ordered to be available at your local public libraries. So remember, folks, do not forget to use your public libraries. If you cannot afford to buy media, use the resources that are available to you. I think I actually have seen this series available at my library, but when I started reading this, I was like, man, this is really good. I want to collect this series, and so I am, and I'll continue to read it because even though I felt like the anime did it dirty, I did enjoy reading the manga.
Hell yeah. I don't know how like seasons work. I probably would read this I'm probably not going to watch it like a season 2, but I would read this.
This one ended like they won't do a season 2. This one seems like it was the type of anime that they made to promote people to go to the original source material. So I don't expect they'll give it a second season, because I imagine it's for anyone that's interested enough in a second season, they'll likely go and start reading the manga or read the light novels. So I'd offer to let you borrow mine when I go visit. But like I said, my manga doesn't even go up to the anime yet. So I'm of no use. So you'll have to wait for it to get to your local public library.
No, time to learn Japanese. Bring me the bird. Bring me Duolingo.
No, not the bird. But anyway, thanks, BitkingDT, for coming on for another episode of Straight Guy Tries. We have a packed schedule. We're going to start recording regularly, and our next series that we're doing, ironically, is a series that you recommended to me. So it's not an anime. It is a novel, but it's been a movie and now it's a series. So if you haven't already checked out Interview with a Vampire, they've finally made it explicitly gay for everyone. So go check that out. We'll be doing another Straight Guy Tries here coming up in the next month of Interview with a Vampire. And then we're also going to do follow-up episodes of the currently airing series, The Vampire Lestat, which is the continuation of the Interview with a Vampire series by Anne Rice.
Doomed toxic yaoi? Is that the comment I sent to you that described it?
Maybe. Is that how you convinced me to watch Interview with a Vampire?
I remember you said, fine, I'll watch it. Fine, I'll watch it, yes.
I think I just said, is it gay?
No, okay. I said, can this sell you on Interview with the Vampire? And I was watching a video essay, and the comment said, Interview with the Vampire is a beautiful blend of toxic old man yaoi and doomed Yuri. So, dear listener, if you are interested in a blend of toxic old man yaoi and doomed Yuri, I don't know what one of those words mean. And so we will be discussing it, and you can come here back and watch me learn this in real time.
You've been through several educational series through this segment. Which word did you not? Is it old? Was it old man? Is that the word that you didn't know in what you read? Doomed. All right, that is our episode of Girls, Gays, Animes, Straight Guy Tries. The other world's been depend on the bean counter. Thanks for joining BitkingDT. I hope you learned something today and that it wasn't just what doomed is. Until next time, remember to check out your local public library, and remember that it's safe to love what you love and love who you love here on Girls, Gays, Animes. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.